everybody, and welcome to episode 76 of Agile Meridian's Agile Shorts. My name is Mike Jebbert, partner here at Agile Meridian. And joining me today is my esteemed partner, colleague, and longtime friend, Chris Daly. He's joining us from Indiana Wesleyan University, taking a little time out of his day. He's doing some work over there, routinely is over there working with a couple of organizations. And he's taking a little time out today to talk about 2024, the year of heightened uncertainty. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks. Good to be here, Mike.
Absolutely. So I think what we'll do is we'll talk about, break this down into kind of three components, right? First of all, thinking about what kind of uncertainty do you see? We're coming to the end of 2023, moving into 2024. What kind of uncertainties that we've been dealing with now do you think are going to continue through till next year? Secondly, what type of things do you anticipate we might see that are new or augmented based on things that are being carried forward? And then a little bit, if we can get a few topics around what folks can do about this, right? Or what organizations can do to kind of look at this from a productivity standpoint and dealing with all this uncertainty.
Sure. So let me just say, to start off, I can't believe that we've done 76 of these things. Right?
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is a huge number, right? Yeah. We're well up over 100 videos loaded to YouTube, and I'm just amazed by that.
Kum and I were talking about doing a centennial. We're going to have to do something special with that, right?
Yeah. Have a special award for all those people that show up for the 100th, episode exactly. of our Agile Shorts. So you and I have talked about this, and we've been talking about it for a while now. And with my work with that I've been doing with 1150 Coding Academy or 1150 Academy, as well as some of the other organizations that I've been working with, one of the things that we're experiencing is that, we continue to deal with uncertainty, right? We got into, things were cruising along and stock market was good and everybody was good. And in 2020, we have COVID, right? And it kicks up and it raises its ugly head. And we get through that, we get to 2022 and everybody's like, okay, we're out of it, right? We can start going out to eat again. We can start getting together for holidays. And what happened was it evolved into 2022 and 2023 have really been, inflation has continued. We continue to struggle with the economy. We continue to try to deal with the uncertainty around the two wars that are currently going on right now, right? The one in Israel and the one in the Ukraine. We continue to deal with this uncertainty about the polarization of our political parties, right? We're further apart now than we've ever been. And so, that's kind of 2023 kind of in a nutshell, right? A lot of people are doing pretty well, but they're struggling with this concept of it feels like that things are ready to turn and go bad again. Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is we've survived 2023. The bad news is I think that the uncertainty that we experienced in 2023 is going to continue. We haven't solved any of that yet. We haven't gotten inflation to where it's actually going down. We've got these wars that look like they're going to turn into potential never-ending wars, right? We've got, the business future of a lot of organizations is really in question. Do we invest? Do we invest in the future? Do we hold our cash in case there's another black swan event that comes along, right? Where all businesses are impacted, or do we even stay in business, right? Is there a future for us? And so I think in 2024, as we go forward, organizations are going to need to be able to start dealing with the uncertainties that carried over, right? Which was everything I just talked about. Plus, on top of that, we've got this uncertainty about artificial intelligence, right? It is the hype. We're in the hype cycle, at the very peak of the hype cycle, if you listen to Gartner. And the question is, with that, is what's that going to do? What's that going to do to my job? What's that going to do to my company? We're going to see companies that are going to profit and are going to spring up and are going to go like gangbusters. We're going to see other companies that are going to deflate down to nothing, right? The product that they're offering or the service they're offering is no longer needed. And so I think in 2024, it's going to continue to be, we're going to continue with the uncertainty we carried over from 2023, Plus, this new thing of artificial intelligence is going to make people feel more uncertain. It's going to make them feel uneasy. They're going to be worried about their future. They're worried about how things are going to change. And so we're going to have to learn to deal with that.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't feel like any of the things that are carrying over from 2023 have that you can see the end of, right? They definitely look like, well, that's going to be going on for a while. The financial aspects, the political, the geopolitical and global event type activities. And certainly with this addition of an entirely new space and looking at the way that that's going to impact things, so many unknowns around that. You know, looking at it, I know you work with a lot of folks at the academy and in other capacities around helping individuals who are constantly trying to keep up with this change and keep their skills going, add new skills going, try to keep up on where the trends are and try to land on a good spot, right? Know where the solid ground's going to be, or at least try to have a good well-educated guess on where that's going to be. For businesses and for business leaders, what do they need to do looking into next year? How are they going to deal with all of this uncertainty, the continued and the new, which is yet to be written?
Well, I think that as we continue to see technology change and evolve, we're going to see that the speed of change that organizations need to be capable, have the capacity to make changes, is going to continue to pick up. And, you know, Agile is one of those words where it's got kind of a bad, in some circles, it's got a bad meaning, right? It's like Agile, you know, that's not going to be something it's not something we're going to embrace or we're going to go forward. But what we really need to talk about is the ability of an organization to respond quickly, right? To incorporate new ideas, come to market with new products, and then get those products out there and marketed and successful. You know, the 1150 Academy, as well as Indiana Wesleyan, for example, 1150 Academy can come up and create a new course within a matter of a month to respond to something that's happening, right? We've developed a 4-hour course, for example, on just, you know, general AI with some hands-on activities, right? We did that in about a month. Indiana Wesleyan, as a accredited college, can't keep up with that, right? It takes them 18 months to get the curriculum built out, get it approved, get all the accreditations they need, and get it scheduled and get it taught. I think we're going to continue to see organizations have to shift from, like, for example, the Indiana Wesleyan model to more of the 1150 model, where it's a quick turnaround.
Reduced down as well, isn't it? I mean, that's going to feel long in 6 months.
Right. It'll feel long because we'll continue to, as AI continues to adapt, right, and to become better, it's going to shorten up the time frame it takes for just the rough content creation. We need that human factor, right, to humanize it, go through and make sure it makes sense and it's hitting all the goals we need and to develop the activities and all those things. But it will shorten that research content generation, initial content generation. And so we need to be able to respond quickly. To be able to respond quickly, most organizations that I've experienced, it's a top-down issue, right? It's a top-down issue because the leaders always want to make sure they're not jeopardizing their current plans, their current products, right?
Their commitments to their current products or services. Okay.
Right, and they're worried. I mean, think about Kodak, going back to the digital camera, right? Kodak didn't invest in the digital camera because they were worried about cannibalizing their film and development revenue streams. That we need to be as a business, we need to be thinking about what's next, right? We can't be in a situation where you're slow to respond. We need to be, and I'm going to use the cliche here, you'll smile. We either need to be a disruptor or we need to plan on being disrupted, right? So we need to plan on, okay, we're not going to be at the forefront, but we're going to be close enough behind that we're going to need to still be able to change what we're doing, even if we're not out front. To do that, you're going to have to go through a process where your leadership team is not just not just communicating in a way that they've traditionally done it. You're going to have to not be able to continue the organizational structures that you have that have got you to where you are today. You're not going to be able to continue with a culture that says, if it isn't built here, right? If it isn't made here, it's no good. You're going to need to be able to adapt quickly. And so as an organization, you need to be planning for that. You need to be going through and getting your leadership team all on the same page, right? And communicating on the same page. And that, the work that you have done, Mike, in business agility, working with, the companies that you have been, I'll leave it to you to which ones you want to disclose, but the companies you've been working with, right? From a business agility standpoint, that is most of the time, that's the hang up, right? It's the leadership team, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we've seen. There's a lot of evidence to that, and the willingness and the interest of leaders who, and the reason it really comes down to them is that they're the ones that have the control over. They have their hands on the levers for the environment, for the working environment that all of their talent operates under. Which in turn helps to feed the culture of the organization. So that environment really does drive and help to either promote a culture that you want, or it promotes a culture that maybe you're not happy with. And it's kind of a squishy indicator, but it's certainly they're very, very good measurable metrics around it. But I think you're right. That willingness and interest of leaders to recognize this as a high priority need in their organization, along with and understanding that it has just as much of an impact, especially in the future, on bottom line revenue, EBITDA, shareholder values, board member opinions of your performance. All of that, it all boils down. You can turn everything into time and money. Everything is convertible to time and money. We've seen that, right? Christy and I've talked about that with many leaders. And I think that this is another, you have to take all of those indicators and all those measures that they have today, and they have to add to that, how adaptable am I? How well did I adapt over the last quarter? How well did I adapt over the last month? How much closer am I to actually disrupting my competitors in my space? These are measures that people should be considering. There are good established measures out there to be able to do that. But if you're not doing that today, you're already behind. And the rate at which you're going to need to accelerate to catch up is getting faster. It's getting that rate is accelerating.
Right. And we need to, as coaches to those leaders, we need to be talking about, for example, simple things like portfolio management, like collaboration amongst the leadership team. We need to be talking about being transparent. We need to talk and make sure that you've got the right leaders in the right positions. I think, as we go forward, and I work with 1150, right? It's, do we have the right people with the right approaches, the right mindsets, the right types of people to take this organization forward, right? And it's very critical that we do that. It's critical that, this is another plug for us, but that companies adopt a product mindset, right? That they adopt, we have our course, our product mindset course, that talks about, how we focus it toward product owners. But what I'm doing right now is I'm using it with 1150 Academy to think about how we run our business, right? What's our mission? Why are we doing this? Who are we doing it for, right?
All the techniques are applicable, right? They're all applicable.
Yeah, and they're all applicable, and it's really interesting when you start doing that, right? Because you come through and you think about our product journey loop, right? You come to a decision point. Is what I'm doing, does it make sense? Should I go ahead and try it, or should I start over, right? And then you go into the build cycle. So we typically think of Agile as being a circle, right? And in this case, there's always a decision point, right? We go through and do our product management work or our product work. Do we go forward? And then do we build it, right? And it's very applicable toward organizations, right? We need to look at things like optimization, right? That's a big thing. We need to be able to focus on how effective we are, right? Not just how efficient, but how effective we are, right? And when we talk about those things and we talk about how effective are we, NPS scores is one thing that a lot of organizations have kind of passed on that they need to go back and do, right?
Yep.
We need to think about, we need to take a systems view of how we're looking at what we do, right? In some cases, we're going to have some areas that are not efficient, but they don't matter, right? Because they're effective. We're delivering things just in time. And I fundamentally believe that if you stick to your fundamentals, if you stick to this product mindset, if you embrace this concept of the disruptor method that you have come up with, Mike, and then we're now building upon. If you embrace those two things, your organization's going to be fine. You're going to come out of this very, very well. You don't have to be an Apple or a Google or some organization that's huge and transformational. You'll be transformational because at the end of 2024, you'll still be here. You'll have grown your market share. You'll have grown your revenue, as opposed to somebody who's just going to continue to operate the same way they always have, right? And that's going to cause you, this is a time when you want to invest in those things, when there's uncertainty and people don't know what to do. This is your chance to grab market share.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And if you had to think about one thing as a leader, especially a senior leader, I love you talking about going after the mushy middle, as we call it, right? That kind of where strategy turns into execution, and usually it's a lot around PMOs or in the middle of the portfolio and kind of what we're doing, what order we're going to do it in, all this mushy middle where strategy kind of gets lost and execution kind of takes whatever they can out of that mistranslation and do the best job they can in trying to meet that need and hit those missions and visions. Going after that is really, really critical. It can get you some pretty quick returns too, with the idea that it's not a quick fix, but you can get some early relief pretty quickly. And I think that looking forward, senior leaders really, if there's one place to look, and I'm interested to see your thought on this as our last point before we close. If you don't have a plan, if you're looking at your 2024 and inside of your plan, you don't have specifics and a significant amount of that plan detailing how you are going to become more adaptable, because we can't tell you with all those things we mentioned early on, which of those things are going to impact you? How much are they going to impact you? Which one's first, second, and third? We don't know what the ratios of those things for your industry are at this point. Mm-hmm. If you don't have in your plans the ability to become adaptable as a key component to the 2024 strategy you're looking at, you need to reconsider your 2024 strategy. And I want to kind of get your thoughts on that, because that's a lot of what we've been talking to folks about.
Yeah, you need to reconsider your strategy. And let me go back just a second. I know we're bumping up close on time. I love your concept of the mushy middle, right? Because that's the area where strategy gets turned into execution. That's the area where a lot of organizations struggle, right? They've got a great strategy. They don't know how to execute. And I love that idea of the mushy middle, right? So, as organizations go forward, they should go back and move to how are we going to adapt, right? They should, to your point, if it's not in their plans, they need to go back and look at it. They need to reach out to, and if they don't have the talent in-house, they need to reach out to organizations like us, not your traditional Agile organizations, but need to reach out to an organization that's focused on helping the leadership go and learn how to become adaptable, right? There's a lot of leadership coaches out there, and there's a lot of leadership platforms that are out there, and they've got everything from all these different thought leaders, right, around how to go do this stuff. At the end of the day, it's about agility. And how are they going to do that? And it needs to be somebody that has experience in business agility. And a lot of organizations don't have that, right? That a lot of the people that you go ask for help won't have that. They'll say they do, but they don't. And that's what I think makes what we're doing at Agile Meridian different, is because we're incorporating not only that, hey, you need to be agile, right? Or you need to have that agility. You need to be able to change. but we also come in and talk about, do you have the right team? Do you have the right people? First of all, do you have the right people on the bus? And then do you have the right people sitting in the right seats on the bus, right? And we do that through some of the work that we do with predictive index, right? And with some of our other, our accelerator programs, where we come in and we take people through a set of steps that is not about, it's not about our methods or anything like that. It's a proven way of going through and saying, all right, how do we get these people to collaborate? How do we get them to work together? How do we get them to communicate? And in most cases, that program is not hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? It can be, but starting out, just focus on, if you don't have the budget, focus on essentially just that leadership team. If that leadership team can communicate, can collaborate, and can work well together, then you can go through and it'll ripple down, right? It'll flow down. Your organization isn't going to be able to absorb a big change anyway. You're not going to be able to say, okay, February 1st, we're all going to be,
it's highly likely they're dealing with change fatigue already, to your point, right? So smaller changes are going to be better for sure. And that's good advice, I think, with looking at it. If your plan doesn't have, the ability and the capability to improve your adaptable capabilities within your organization, relook at that plan. And secondly, go back and you can right size this. If the uncertainty is keeping you from, you're nervous about spend, you're nervous about how much to invest, how much time and money to invest, keep it small, start with the top, and work your way down. And what you'll find is you open up more certainty and more capacity, as well as more certainty around spend as you move forward. So we are definitely over. I want to thank you, Chris, for taking out some time this afternoon. I know you're busy over there at Indiana Wesleyan and with 1150. So thanks again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in 2024.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.